the definition of a good business deal. Business advice. The definition of a good business deal is the least amount of work and the most amount of profits. I think everyone would agree with that, right? If you could find a great business that you have to invest a small amount of money and a small amount of your energy and your time, and the profits, right, that come from that business are so much higher, that is the definition of a great business deal, okay? So I've just given you the most incredible business advice that you can probably ask for, and we find that in this week's parasha. We find one of the most incredible ideas of business advice in this week's parasha, and I want to spend the next few minutes just discussing the inyan. I think it's an opportunity to discuss. It's coming up to Bein Hazmanim, it's coming up to the summer. It's a good chizuk that Be'ez Hashem, amongst other things we have to talk about, this is one of them. Torah tells us, the end of Parashat Shlach, by Mafte, Perek Tezvah, Posuk Lamed Zayin, Vayom Hashem u'Moshe Leima. Dabel b'nei Yisrael v'amarto aleihem v'osu lahem Tzitzis. Al kanvei bigdeim l'doyosu v'nostu al Tzitzis akono p'sul tcheles v'hoy lechem l'Tzitzis u're'ise moisoi. You will see them. U'zachartem et kol mitzvahs Hashem. Through that you'll remember all the mitzvahs. V'asisem asum v'lo yisasu achmei levavchem yachmei nechem ashatim zoynim achmeim v'chol l'man tisku asisem as kol mitzvahs v'yisem kedoshim le'leheichem ani Hashem elokeichem asher hoitzes yitzchem me'etz mitzrayim li'yos lachem elokim. So here we have it, Rabbi Isai, the best business opportunity in this week's parasha. It's the smallest thing, it's the easiest thing, as we'll see Be'ez Hashem, but it carries with it the best, most incredible profits, the most incredible rewards. So let's understand it a little bit, understand the mitzvah, and obviously with the greatest of mitzvahs comes the greatest of Yetzirahs. The Yetzirah knows exactly where to pick his fights. He knows where to pick his fights. This is one of them, okay? It's the summer, it's hot, I'm playing sports, it's uncomfortable, I'm wearing a t-shirt so it doesn't really go. You know, the Yitzhak knows exactly how to get a person to get out of it because he understands the stakes. He knows what's at stake over here. He understands what this is all about. He knows what this mitzvah is going to represent. Says the Gemara, Rabbi Simon Achas Mem Gimel Lamed Beis. Says the Gemara, Mem Gimel Lamed Beis Menachas Nedarim Chof Hei Shvuos Chof Tes. Tzitzis, Shakul, Keneged, Kol, HaMitzvahs, Kulam. Rabbi Isai, can you imagine if I would ask you if you had the opportunity of shaking a lulav, of eating matzah, of lighting the menorah, of putting on tefillin, on davening, on washing negel, vasa, berchas, hamazim, berchas, ha-Torah, chesed, tzedakah, lending money, all at the same time? Can you imagine? Everything was chayav at the same time. Every mitzvah in the Torah, boom. And you had that 1 minute that you could do it. I think everyone would prepare themselves and do whatever they can to try and do that, right? Imagine all the mitzvahs in 1 moment. Says the Chazal again, Rabbi Sevenachas Mem Gimel Nedarim Chof Hei Shvuos Chof Tes. Tzitzis Shakul Keneged Kol HaMitzvahs Kulam. It's going to get everything. Every one of the mitzvahs. Unbelievable thing. The Maharsha explains it's because of the schar. The schar that you get is equal to all of the mitzvahs. It's an unbelievable thing. And Rashi brings down over here, Parashat Shlach, why is the Parashat of Tzitzis like Gneged right next to the Makoshesh Eitzim, the one that was Machal Shabbos? Because that's what happens. Just like Shabbos is Gneged Kol HaMitzvahs, says Rashi, so too from Chazal, that's so too Tzitzis Gneged Kol HaMitzvahs. Now, that's Gneged Kol HaMitzvahs. Listen to the Sifri, Parashat Shlach, this week's Parasha. The Sifri writes, not only is it Shakul Keneged Kol HaMitzvahs, says the Sifri, Ki'ilu Kayim Kol HaMitzvahs. Can you imagine? It's as if when you put it on a pair of tzitzis, what is it already? You put it on, boom! Says the Sifri, you've been Makayim, Tariag, 613 mitzvahs, all at the same time. There cannot be anything better than that. The Rekeach says the same thing. The Kliyok over here, the Pelayot brings this down as well. What an unbelievable thing. The Sifri tells us in this week's Parashat Shlach, Rabbi say, chap this. Says the Sifri, that a person is Makayim the mitzvah ki'ilu hikbel pnei hashchina, he's makabel pnei hashchina. He's mamish greeting the shchina. You know what that is? Rabbeinu Bechaya brings down in this week's Parasha, Chayvus Alavavus. You wear tzitzis? He's zoichet to tchias hamisim. Rabbi Isai, what are we discussing over here? A piece of material that you have to wear on your body? It's the smallest investment, the smallest amount of energy, time, and money. And look at the results. Look at what you're reaping from this. Unbelievable thing. Rashi brings down the remezes in the word tzitzis. Because the gematria, I'm sure of you have worked this out, that the gematria of tzitzis is Tov Reish. If you add the 8 strings on each corner, plus 5 double knots, you got 13. Tov Reish and 13 is Tariyag. That's where you get the Tariyag mitzvahs. I remember specifically a Yid. A gewaldige Yid. He told me that he was in McDonald's and he was on the line to buy a cheeseburger. True story. Okay, the boy told me this himself. He was on his way to buy a cheeseburger and he was in the line. You know, didn't think too much of it. He put his hand into his pocket to pick up the credit card, the money, whatever he was trying to get, and his tzitzis caught his finger, and then he thought to himself, I can't do this. It's not right. I can't do this. And he left. It's exactly what Chazal tell us. Through this is everything. Absolutely unbelievable thing. Chazal tell us that one of the schar of wearing this is that a person, when Mashiach comes, the Osher Lover will have 2,800 servants serving him. That's incredible, Rabbi Isai. People doing everything for you whenever you want. There's a Moedik Ksava Kabbalah, Rabbi Isai. The Ksava Kabbalah brings down that tzitzis is our clothing to remind us that we're together with the Rabbeinu Shalom. So the Chinuch tells us, Mitzvah Shin Pei Vav, that the Mitzvah Tzitzis is always to remember with Hashem. The Medrash brings down one of the reasons for Tzitzis is to be mavdil us, to separate us between the goyim. A constant remembrance that we are Yidden and they are not. Rav Shimshon Raphael Hirsch brings down that when Adam and Chava left Gan Eden, they were given clothes to separate them from animals. Says Rav Shimshon Raphael Hirsch, the tzitzis was given as a reminder who we are. It's our clothing. Just like Adam and Chava left Gan Eden, they needed clothing to separate them. We need clothing to separate us. And that's why it's such an important thing. The Moedik Shlach Kodesh, Rabbi say, in their mitzvah ois tes, the Shlach Kodesh brings down Masechtas Kulin, that if a person does not bring himself into an obligation, into a chiyuv, menuda leshamayim. You know what menuda min shamayim means? He's excommunicated in shamayim. That's what you want? Again, let me repeat that. The Shlach Kodesh is saying that if you don't bring yourself into a chiyuv, you don't make yourself chayiv, you're menuda min shamayim. And be'idon richscha, the Gemara tells us that in a time of kaviyachal anger, when the Rebbeinu Shalom kaviyachal has anger, whatever that means, someone who's not wearing tzitzis is in danger. Is in serious, serious danger. Now, incredible thing. The Rambam, the end of Hilchas Tzitzis, brings down Afal Pi she'ein odom mechayev liknos noitalis es atava, ein roi la'odom sheyifta atzmai mimitzvah zu. It's not right for a person to pater himself, to exempt himself, says the Rambam. The Shlach Kodesh brings down that the 8 strings of tzitzis are to teach us. One is to remember the mitzvahs that we do with our eyes. The second one is with our mouth. The third is with our throat. The fourth is with our ear. The fifth is with our nose. The sixth is with our hand. The seventh with our feet. And the 8th is with the erva. The Shlach Kodesh tells us the 8 strings we have on all sides represents many of the limbs that we use. So it's very, very interesting because we could ask a very interesting question. First of all, we understand that the mitzvah really is, if you have a beggar of dalet kanfas, then there's a mitzvah to put tzitzis on it, right? Mashma, if you don't have a beggar of dalet kanfas, you don't have to do that. If you don't have a full corner garment, you don't have to have tzitzis on it. Number one, again, like I mentioned to you before, the Gemara tells us in Kaviyachal, a time of anger, a person is in danger, which is, by the way, the reason why many people sleep with their tzitzis. Unless you guys wake up at nights, then you have a problem. Because as soon as the day begins, Rahman al-Islam, the Gemara tells us in Bracha, the first 3 hours of the day, Kosh Baruch Hu Kaviyachal could be angry. And if you don't have tzitzis on, you have no shmira. And Kosh Baruch Hu Chas v'shalom laleinu lalechem will take it out on a person. So if you're wearing tzitzis, you have that shmira, even while you're sleeping, which is an incredible thing. But Rav Moshe has a tshuva in Igush Moshe Chelik Dalad, in Orach Chaim Chelik Dalad, where he says that Klal Yisrael already was makabel on themselves this mitzvah, and it became a chiv. So it's already become a chiv. It's not even like if you have, it's already a chiv. That's why Paskin Rav Moshe, and Rav Moshe Paskin it's a chiv, amongst many others as well. But he asks an interesting question. That's an interesting question. You know, the Torah tells us in this week that that this is what leads to all the mitzvahs. Now, if you think about it, he asks a question. He says, if you're going to pick a mitzvah that reminds you of all the other mitzvahs, would you not have picked a mitzvah that you're chayiv in? Why would you pick a mitzvah that you're not even chayiv in? You understand the question? There's no chayiv. If you have, you do. There's no chayiv. So asks Rabbi Moshe, why would the Torah give us the siman that reminds us to all the other mitzvahs, that leads us to all the other mitzvahs, from something which is not even a chayiv to begin with? You with me? It's a beautiful question. Anyone thought about that question? It's a gewaldige kasha. You know what he answers? Beautiful. He says, faket. First of all, he brings it, comes together with the Indian of Erev, of Znus, that's what the same plain parasha, the same ayah, same Yisai. But he says, when a person goes beyond the letter of the law, when a person does more than he's expected to do, that's the siman. That's what leads into all the mitzvahs. That's the siyat d'shmaya that you get. Not only when you do what you have to do, but when you go beyond and you push yourself that little bit more. Yeah, it's hot outside. Yeah, I'm playing sports. Yeah, it's uncomfortable. It doesn't match my t-shirt. People are going to see the strings. When a person pushes himself that little bit more, he's zoicha, says Rav Moshe, to all the siyata d'shmaya, to remember on Mikayim all the other mitzvahs. What an incredible thing. The Vilna Gaon, Kol HaTorah Kula, mamish, back to front. Every Tosfos and Shas backwards, no problem. Vilna Gaon, B'Sof Yomov. He was about to leave this world. And you can imagine the minded of Gedolim, the Tehillim that were going on, the crying, the emotions. The Vilna Gaon is about to leave the world. And the Vilna Gaon was crying. And they said, Rebbe, why are you crying? What a life you had. Kol HaTorah Kula, you didn't stop learning for a moment. What you did for Klal Yisrael, the Sforim. What are you regretting? The Vilna Gaon said to him, I'm not regretting anything. But I just want you to know that in a few minutes I'm no longer going to be able to mekayim the mitzvah of Tzitzis. And it's a mitzvah that any of you can mekayim at any time and get constant reward. And I'm not going to be able to mekayim that. The Vilna Gaon! Kol HaTorah Kula! But he was bothered that he wasn't going to be able to mekayim when he's dead. He's not even chayiv. But that mitzvah, chap onto it! Chap onto that incredible mitzvah. And let me end with one last incredible story. There was a true meister with one of the Hasidim of the Belzer Rebbe, and he had a chassid, and this chassid, Rahman al-Islam, had a child that decided to marry a Goyish woman. And there's nothing that this chassid could do to persuade the child otherwise. He was about to marry a Goyish woman. So the father was devastated, didn't know what to do. So he went to the Rebbe. And he said to the Rebbe, you have to do something. Please, I'll do anything. Tell me. The Rebbe said, all I can do is persuade your son to come and speak to me before the chasana. So the chasana said, okay, maybe some miracle will happen. Who knows what the Rebbe will tell him? The boy agrees. He says, I've got nothing to lose. I don't care. I'm not going to listen to the Rebbe anyway. So he goes to the Rebbe. And the Rebbe starts talking to him. And the Rebbe doesn't even dissuade him to get married, which we found very, very surprising. The Rebbe didn't say anything. All the Rebbe said is, listen, by the wedding, I have two conditions. I have two conditions for you. Condition number one, you invite your father. Condition number two is under all your clothing, could you please wear tzitzis? No, it's fine. Under your clothing. Tuck the strings in. Figures, okay, that's pretty easy. That's what the Rebbe, he grew up after all, he's a Belzer Chassid. The Rebbe was a big tzaddik. Said he went a different derech, but he understood the Rebbe was a big tzaddik. The Rebbe wasn't asking on him anything crazy. He was still allowing to marry the girl, so why not? So he invites his father. His father was shocked that he had to go and attend the wedding of his son marrying a goiter, but that's what the Rebbe said. That's what I'll do. And he walks Tzitzis. In the middle of the chasana, without going into too many details, the music, changed a little bit. People started taking off their shirts, and the chassan was one of them. And he started taking off his shirts. And all of a sudden, the whole place turned to him and says, hold on a minute. I thought you left that religion. I thought you're no longer interested in that. You see, you got tzitzis underneath. And the color sees that. She says, hey, I thought you left the whole thing. You hold this garbage and you got tzitzis hiding underneath your garment. I'm out of here. The wedding was over. The Belzer Rebbe understood. Rabbi say, the mitzvah in this week's parasha is one of the most incredible mitzvahs, as I started with. The most incredible business deal you have in this week's parasha. The small amount of effort, small amount of money, small amount anything, and the results, the reward that you get are absolutely astronomical. Rabbi said, let's be machazik, the summer is coming, the Zmanim is coming. Be'ez Hashem, let's take this mitzvah, let's take hold of it like the Vilna Gaon understood it. Let's take the gewaldige schar that we spoke about from the Sifri, from Chazal, the most incredible reward that we just don't find almost in any other mitzvah. And let's use it. Yes, sometimes it's uncomfortable. Yes, sometimes it's quote unquote annoying. But it's something that gives us the most incredible reward. Be'ez Hashem, we should be zochet to Mekayim the mitzvah with all the pratim.